Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the DFS Express presented by Loudmouth MMA. Here to talk UFC Fight Night 117, Ovince St. Preux versus Yushin Okami. I am your host. Shonai has the DFS Sniper. Before we get started, please give me a follow on Twitter at that handle. Subscribe to my YouTube page. If you've never watched or listened to the DFS Express, these are DraftKings specific picks, not always picking who I think will win the fight, who's the better DraftKings play, and at the end we will build a sample lineup. Going to try and do all of that in 10 minutes, so let's get moving. We will start with the main event and work our way down. Ovince St. Preux, 9,500, the most expensive fighter on the card. Yushin Okami, 6,700. He is a late notice replacement. He has been fighting at 170 pounds recently. He was a 185er previously. Before that, in the UFC, Ovince St. Preux is a big 205-pounder with the grappling edge. Don't overcomplicate this one. OSP is the better DraftKings play. Claudia Gadelha, 9,000. Jessica Andrade, 7,200. Gadelha is the better play. She has the grappling edge. She should take down Andrade. Andrade is tough, but Gadelha, outside of JJ, is the best 115-pounder in the world. Claudia Gadelha is the better play with the grappling upside on DraftKings. Next up, Dunghyun Kim, 9,100 versus Takanori Gomi, 7,100. Gomi is shot, no chin left. It's almost a little sad to watch. Dunghyun Kim is the better play. He's aggressive. Gomi was just choked out by John Tuck, 4-fight losing streak. Legend, but his time has passed. Dunghyun Kim is the better play. Gokhan Saki, 8,600. Henrique Da Silva, 7,600. Definitely recommend you going to listen to the Loudmouth MMA podcast for my thoughts on this one. I think Henrique Da Silva is the better play. He's the pro MMA fighter. Saki is a kickboxing, granted a Glory K1 legend, but he hasn't had a fight in 2.5 years, only fought in MMA once. So Henrique Da Silva is the better play. Go listen to the Loudmouth podcast for further thoughts on that. 7,600, I'll take Da Silva. Teruto Ishihara versus Rolando Dai. Ishihara 8,700, Dai 7,500. I can't get Ishihara right. He just got grappled to death by Gray Maynard, who has no more chin. He doesn't look tough. He's got that pretty boy type of personality. Dai, in his UFC debut, took on a short notice against Caceres. Looked okay, looked tough. If he survived Caceres, I think he'll survive Ishihara. I just don't know about Ishihara's mindset. There's safer plays than Ishihara. Dai has interesting upside, so I think he's the better play at 7,500. Charles Rosa, 8,800. Mizuto Hirota, 7,400. Rosa is one of my more confident picks on the card. He should have the grappling advantage. I think he'll have a smaller striking advantage. I don't think Hirota can stop the takedown. Rosa is an active fighter, moves forward. He's the better DraftKings play at 8,800. Alex Morono, 8,500. Keita Nakamura, 7,700. This is probably my hardest fight to call on this card. You could go savings for Nakamura at 7,700. Morono, I think, is more likely to win. Nakamura, aside from the savings, also might have a small grappling advantage. That being said, though, I think Morono wins the fight, so I'm going to take him. The DraftKings play, it's a close fight. I'm probably going to avoid it. Jussier Formiga, 9,200. Ulka Sasaki, 7,000. Sasaki cannot stop the takedown, like 40% takedown defense. He was losing his last fight against Scoggins, caught a submission. That's the only way he can win a fight against Formiga, because I think he'll be taken down. Formiga, though, is a good BJJ practitioner. I don't think he'll fall into that. He's clearly the better play to me at 9,200. Chanmi Jian, 8,200. Siori Kondo, 8,000. Jian, I thought, won her last fight against JJ Aldrich. Aggressive move forward. She's 20. She can grapple a little bit. She's a well-rounded fighter, whereas Kondo is I believe a karate black belt, has more striking, but Jian is more well-rounded. 8,200, she's the pick. Luke Jamo, 8,900 versus Shinsho Anzai, 7,300. Anzai is an aggressive type fighter. Jamo, from what I've seen, I don't like how he moves. When he moves backwards, his chin comes up in the air. I don't get the odds in this fight. It should be closer. If it was closer, I'd pick Jamo. I think that should be closer to a pick'em 8,100 apiece. So for that reason, I think Anzai is very live in this fight. Could get a finish. He's not. It wouldn't surprise me if Jamo wins. Obviously, I said it should be a pick'em, but at 7,300, the value there makes Anzai the better play. Hungyu Lim, 8,400. Daichi Abe, 7,800. Lim, I'm super worried about his chin. I think Abe becomes a very interesting DraftKings play. Lim was just knocked out by Mike Perry. I know Mike Perry has big power, but he was hit with awkward shots. Forearm, top of the wrist, it looked like. And before that, he was knocked out by Neil Magny, whereas Abe pushes forward and does have power. Lim just lost to an up-and-comer with power. That's what Mike Perry was before he was Mike Perry. I think Abe is worth a tournament look. Again, I wouldn't play him in cash games because you don't know exactly what you're getting. So those are the DraftKings picks, and we're now going to switch over and build a DraftKings lineup. So here we have the player pool for DraftKings this week. And so we're going to build a cash lineup, same as we did last week. Ended up in a pretty good place last week. Of course, I did tinker and ended up taking out Gilbert Burns, which did cost me. So again, before I build this, if you take any head-to-heads with me, this is what I'm looking at right now, not necessarily what you'll see for my lineup Friday night. Sometimes it is, sometimes it's not, and sometimes it should be even if I change. So the first thing to think about is stacking the main event. I'm not going to. I think there's going to be a lot of finishes on this card. Even in cash games, I'm kind of going to go finish hunting a little bit. I'm going to sort by salary. I'm actually going to start at the top. You're going to need somebody in the top end, and I'm going to take two people I think are relatively safe. I really like Charles Roast at 8,800, and he's not all the way at the top of the range. Then it kind of comes down to, I think OSP is safe. Sometimes he doesn't show up, so I'm going to avoid him in cash for now, even in a 5-round fight. And he's so expensive, there's not a ton of value on this card. I think the choice really comes down to Dong-Hyun Kim and Claudia Gadelha. This is just preference. Do you like that Takanori Gomi can't get out of the first round, or the grappling upside of Gadelha? Again, I'm going to look for the finish here, so I'm going to go with Dong-Hyun Kim at 9,100. Now, we're down to 8,000 a fight. We're going to immediately need some roster relief here. And the people I mentioned earlier in the episode, we have Shinsho Anzai at 7,300, Rolando D at 7,500, Henrique Silva at 7,600, and Abe at 7,800. So again, I know it's finish hunting, but in cash, if you're going to take a loss, which obviously you want to avoid, you need to find guys who are going to score points. If Silva loses, he could get knocked out quick. Dai, again, I thought he said he could survive, but Ishihara has shown knockout power. I really think it comes down to Anzai or Abe. I'm going to go for the savings here, and I'm going to plug in Shinsho Anzai at 7,300. I think he is a very solid punt. So now looking back at the mid-range, Chami Jian at 8,200. I'm not sure I'm going to get enough of a finish there, enough finish potential for Jian. You know, this could be one where I just mentioned I didn't play Abe, and I'm really wary of playing him in cash. So just a quick silence here while I think. If I plug in Gadelha, still have 7,900 a fighter, and you can go. Would like to be able to get in Jian, and then you can go De Silva or Rolando D. Yeah, because just above Jian, I don't like Lim. I don't really like Morono. I don't think he's safe. So I think Jian's good mid-range play. And then it becomes, who do I want to fit in? If you really want to play Abe, and you can get to 200, I guess you could go down from Claudia Gadelha. No, you really can't. I think this is looking like the best way to go here. To plug in Jian, that leaves us with 7,600. And I'm very strong in thinking that De Silva is just not, or Saki is not a mixed martial artist yet, and Silva should win the fight. So if you want to play it safe, I think Rolando Dai is probably a better cash game play. However, I'm going to put in De Silva just because of he's the pro MMA fighter. Again, go listen to the Loudmouth MMA podcast. I get why people disagree with me on this. This is kind of the stand I am making this week. So the cash game lineup we have just built is Rosa, Kim, Anzai, Gedalia, Gian, Henrique De Silva. That's the DFS Express for UFC Fight Night 117, guys. Again, please give me a follow on Twitter. Subscribe to my YouTube page. Good luck in your contest. I'll be back in 2 weeks.